Coach, if you're looking for an offense that doesn't have to have a true center or a true big man, or if you have a team that just kind of is all the same size, you have some decent athleticism, but you don't really have any one person to get the ball in the post, this is a great offense for you. I often hear coaches ask about what should I run with, 5 players who are all 5'10", who are all 6 foot. This is a great offense for that because you're going to move people out on the perimeter that don't want to be there, and you're going to start creating advantages going towards the hole, even though you don't have a big person maybe to just post up. Let's take a look at the shuffle cut and see it in its entirety, see how the continuity works, and then we'll look at piece by piece what you have to do in order to be successful with it. All right, so now we've seen the full rotation of the shuffle cut. Let's go ahead and take a look at it to see what we have to do to be successful running it. First, you want to make sure that your first cutter is going to be an athletic player who can finish at the bucket, because a lot of times this cut will be open. So having our 2 there, it's not necessarily saying that that's the 2 guard, it just happens to be the 2 on our diagram, so keep that in mind. It could be any player. That if you have your power forward maybe who's trailing in a play, that might be the first cutter you have here. Your 5 needs to be someone who is a good screener. So it doesn't necessarily have to be your center, but somebody who doesn't mind contact and who understands kind of the angle of setting a good screen to get somebody open. Those are going to be very important things. The 4 you want to have be a good mid-range shooter, especially on this first set here. As you get going in the offense, you don't always get to have that luxury, but you can set it up in the beginning so you can try to get this advantage right away without having to pass the ball too many times and have a potential turnover. So our 2, I should say number 2, is going to pass it, and this is what really sets the offense. As soon as that ball is passed to the other side, the 5 knows and the 2 know that they got to get set up for this screen, because as soon as that ball gets swung over to the 3, you can see there does a little V cut, make sure that they get open. Well, 1 wants to hit that 3, and on this pass, our 2 needs to be moving off that screen. If you wait for the 3 to catch the ball, what'll happen is the cut will be late, the defense will have adjusted. We want the 3 to catch it and the 2 to be cutting going downhill to try to get a basket here. If that's open, you go ahead and pass it in there and we can get a layup off of it. So that's the first option that we want to take a look at. The second is the 5 wants to immediately set up for the second screen. So they're not going to stay in the same spot. They're actually going to move just a step or 2, but they're going to re-angle and reposition themselves because number 4 is coming off of that and is going to go up to the elbow. That's going to be the second look for our 3. Is the 4 open? As the 4 is coming, you see that our 2 leaves. The reason that is because our 4 has the option then to drive if they catch the ball. It keeps our spacing the way that we want it. If the 2 stays down there, we end up having another defender to have to worry about. We take away an option, and we just want to make sure that our spacing is good. So our 2 is left, our 4 is at the elbow now. 3 hasn't passed it to either of them. What's going to happen is the 1 is going to go down and set a screen for the 5. So we've got to screen the screener action. And then the 5 is going to come up, and this is the cue to tell the 3, all right, we're getting set to run the same play going the opposite direction. Our 1 gets in position to make a V cut and come out. So as that ball is passed up to the 5, the 1 has come out. We then make that pass over to the 1. Our 3 becomes a cutter off of a screen from 4. So our 4 now is setting 2 screens. A screen for our cutter coming down the lane, and then we have a screen coming for the cutter who's going to be going up to the elbow. Our 1 has the option to throw it to either player. If he chooses not to, 5 is going to set a down screen for 4, and as 4 pops out, our 3 will reposition themselves for some spacing. The ball is passed to the 4. 5 is getting ready to V-cut. Going to pop out, and that action would continue. So you can see how the continuity in the shuffle works. You can see how different players are going to be in different positions, and it causes the defense to have to react and to guard different things on the floor. If this is drilled and is run correctly, this can be an offense that draws a lot of fouls, getting the ball into the player who's cutting through the lane. It also can set a player up for a lot of 15-foot jump shots if that's something that they excel at. So there are 2 great options. The one that I've used and the one that I think is the best is a player who's cutting to the basket because they're going downhill. They either get the bucket, a foul, or both. And it's really nice to have that set up, especially if you don't have a big person to pump the ball down to and try to get them to draw fouls during the game. So, Coach, hopefully this helps you, and you can see how the shuffle cut continuity would be something beneficial for your team.